Mercedes-AMG Interview Lounge.
I first saw Coach Mike on with Dr. Phil. And of course, I like Dr. Phil. I happen to love Coach Mike and everything you had to say. Don't tell Dr. Phil I said that. Thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you, Elvis.
This book is called Best Self. Be you, but only better. So let me ask you this. It sounds kind of rude how I'm asking it, but who do you think you are thinking you know enough to put this much stuff in a book and help us be better at mental health and being better to ourselves?
Yeah, I mean,
where are you from, Coach
I question myself the same thing. How'd I end up in this spot? I'm from Orange County, and I grew up in a good family. And then I went to New York to play basketball, went to Fordham. I ended up I'll go quickly into it, addicted to drugs, was pretty depressed, addicted to meth. So
meth.
If anyone wants to go to rehab quickly, do meth.
Okay, wow.
Meth will get you there as fast as possible.
Really quickly.
That's the express train.
Yeah, that's the express train. I know in your book you talk a lot about the partying you did, which, by the way, I think that's going to eventually turn into a movie. It's really good. No, the Houston scene is amazing.
It was crazy, man.
Oh, it's really good.
I know, but Mike, I was never addicted. Thank God. I had friends who were and died.
Yeah.
But you went to meth and you came out of meth, and now you actually work with people in rehab, and you're helping them. How do you go from point A to point B? That sounds like a long journey.
Yeah, I think for any of us and everyone, we go through pain, and it's how do we turn our pain into inspiration? And so for me, that was purely it. How do I take my pain that I went through, turn it into inspiration, become a counselor, do interventions, and then just start going, I want more.
So to make it more applicable to more of us, I mean, there could be people listening on meth and want to get off of it. I get that. But what about just us, everyday Joes and Schmoes, and we know that there's something standing in our way of loving our lives and getting ahead. We don't know what it is.
A really simple way to figure out your own mental health is an assessment I created.
Assess someone. Can you just assess someone in the room?
Oh.
Yeah, we could.
Gandhi.
All right, I'm in.
Gandhi, so get a piece of paper and pen out. Okay, so this is called the 7 Spheres of Living Your Best Life. It's an acronym. You're going to rate yourself from a 1 to 10.
I have to rate myself?
Yeah, and anyone can do this who's listening.
Wait, is 10 being like the best?
10 is like, oh my gosh, this is...
I want to do it.
This is good.
Let's all do it.
Okay, so the S is Spheres.
It's a Spheres party.
Okay.
So the S stands for social. So how would you rate your social life from a 1 to 10 with it being totally aligned with like, gosh, I love my social life.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
P is for personal, your own mental health. What messages do you talk to yourself? How much are you struggling with your own? You're smiling over there. Okay. Are you joining in too? Okay, good. So that would be personal.
Producer Sam is
Okay. H is your health, your internal organs, your body. Oh. Okay. E for education, which is also evolving. A lot of us stop evolving after college. Okay. Stop learning. R is for relationships, your family, your partner, kind of the whole dynamic of your relationships in your life.
Work people?
We're going to get into that. That's going to be the next one. So, I would say out of R for more like intimate relationships. And then E would be for your employment.
Okay.
And how would you rate your employment line up with your best life? And S is spiritual, which whatever that means for you in terms of your best life. And so,
all right,
you guys filled it out. So it's great to see what you rated highest in, and then we can kind of go around, or we can just talk about what's...
Gandhi, where'd you rate your highest?
In highest, I rated myself a 10 in relationships, employment, and spirituality.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel really, really good about those things.
She's like Mother Nature with law of attraction.
Basically.
I love you. Okay, so Danielle.
Mine was highest in relationships and employment.
Okay, mine relationships and spirituality.
Cool.
I did really high in all of them.
Yeah.
But let's go to Producer Sam. Producer Sam, come on.
Personal and relationships are pretty high, and those are the only ones I care to talk about.
Whoa!
Oh, wow. Sam.
Well, look, you know, it looks like most of us, anyway, are scoring kind of high on these things, Coach Mike, except for Producer Sam.
Well, what were your low numbers?
7. H and E was 7. What's H again?
Health.
Health and yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That was my lowest, too, health.
So the point is, like, the goal is not to slide down. So this is just an assessment to figure out what area of your life could, if it slid down more, would cause the most stress in your life.
Oh, yeah, health.
So it's just a simple assessment for someone to go, where do I start? Because usually we all have blind spots and we start blaming things outside of ourselves. So sometimes it really helps to get down and assess it.
Or maybe we're all lying, Coach Mike. Lying to ourselves.
I know. Now I'm like, am I overdoing this? Do I think I'm way happier than I am? But I think I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, that's great to be happy. A lot of people, though, aren't.
Yeah.
And they don't know what's wrong. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things is if someone's struggling, one way to know you're really struggling is if you feel like no relationships in your life are safe.
Wow.
That's
Talk
tough.
about safe, though. What does that mean?
Safe means if your mind believes that you can't trust anyone, that you isolate, that you don't feel safe, you don't feel connected, that you can trust.
Wow.
It's a dangerous place to be in.
Well, so what should we do? Because those are warning signs. As friends, we should be looking out for them and offering some sort of advice or direction.
Sure. I mean, some of it's someone self-analyzing, going, okay, I really need to get help. I go to therapy. I mean, I'll go to therapy. I mean, I work in mental health for all these years. I still try to evolve.
Therapy is fabulous, but there are some people out there who just live in their day-to-day life, Mike, and they just know something's wrong, but they just can't put their finger on it.
The best thing you can do for friends is be a thinking partner.
How do you do that? Like, what's an easy way to make it happen?
Thinking partner, when I think of it, is pulling out of someone what their truth is. It's helping someone understand how they feel about a situation, how they perceive life in terms of their authentic self. So I always, it's just unpeeling and helping someone unpeel so they can get an answer themselves.
Could be easier than said than done with some people. And I know a lot of people may have a friend who just seems angry all the time. Yeah. And I think that, to me, and maybe I have no training whatsoever, but to me, someone who's angry all the time, it's definitely a huge red light. It says, here's an issue. This person's angry, living in a world that's actually a fabulous place.
And I'll give you one more thing that people can do back home that's really helpful. It's called Social Atom.
Okay.
And all you do is you put your name, you create a circle, and you put all the relationships that are close to you around in the circle, right? So anyone who's in your life is around the circle. It's very simple. You put a squiggly line if there's stress in that relationship, and you put a straight line if you feel safe in that relationship.
Okay.
People often go to the wrong person. They'll go to mom and dad. The line's squiggly. There's stress in that relationship, but they want to keep going to mom and dad to get nurturing, to get love.
Right.
But they're never going to get it.
That's deep. I know that's deep. Duh.
Have you noticed, like, a change in technology and with social media, a direct impact on people's mental health?
I do. I feel like a lot of people who would be amazing for the social media mental health are not on social media.
Oh.
What do you mean by that?
I feel like a lot of people that would be really good that they're not on social media because they don't see a lot of value. I think there's pros and cons. Like socially, in terms of like crime, in terms of like rights, culture, I think social media is incredible. I think in terms of judgment, criticism, and people just saying things without being kind, it's not great.
So Gandhi.
Yes.
Who gets the most criticism on our show?
I think it would be me.
It is definitely you.
Really?
It's me.
And we love her for it because she's just brutally honest at all times, and not a lot of people can handle it. But you do very well with it.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think that if a stranger just comes to you and has something negative to say for no reason, I mean, sometimes there's a reason. I'll give them that. But I think there's more of a problem with them than there is with me. So I just try to think about it that way. I hate to quote a Kardashian, but I'm going to.
Yeah, quote that Kardashian.
Chloe says, happy bitches ain't hating and hating bitches ain't happy. So I just try to think about that all the time.
How do you deal with it?
I don't do well. I just don't read it. But sometimes every once in a while a clunker will come through.
Elvis goes,
I'll just block them and let them go. It's like, screw it.
I call it spiritual whack-a-mole. You're like, bye.
So, look, I love how the title of the book is very, very directive. Best self, be you, only better. What could we do just walking down the street or going through life to be more aware of things that could be helpful for us?
One thing that's amazing is anonymous acts of kindness or complimenting other people, or if you're struggling in the day, calling someone. But I'll tell you, I mean, you going up to people in line, if you buy someone Starbucks drink, if they let you, half the time they don't. I find that they think I'm like offending or hitting on them. But I find I need to get into the flow of going, get out of yourself, Mike, start helping other people. Compliment that woman walking down the street that really cared about what she put on today.
Yes, I do that all the time. I'll go up to someone in the grocery store and I'll go, I just had to tell you that your hair is gorgeous. And they're so many times they're like taken aback, like, oh, thank you.
What does she want from me?
Like they had no idea. Like, no.
But they light up.
And maybe they had a crappy day, but now maybe it turned around.
But you light up too.
Yeah, I know. I feel good.
Those are little things that can make a big difference.
Oh, huge difference. Huge. If you make it like my friend, I mean, we kind of geek out sometimes on self-help. So we'll be like, "Oh, let's go." I'll be like, I bet you I'll give more compliments at this Walmart than you will. And it's actually really funny. I mean, then at the end, the people are looking at us kind of weird because the energy's so high on it, right? But those little things, just like picking up a piece of trash. I do it all the time in the bathroom. I like pick up a piece of trash and throw it away because I'm like, first of all, I'm not taking away from the janitor's job. Second of all, it's just a paper towel. Third of all, it makes me feel like I'm contributing because I don't want to be stuck in this self-centered, self-obsessed self. That's when it's like life starts to just shrink. You start to prune up.
A friend of ours down the hall, Charlemagne, he's a great big host on radio. This and that. One of the things he said in his first book was, when you feel the struggle, go back to your core self. And of course, it's probably a metaphor, whatever. You go back and crawl into your childhood bed and sleep and go back to the dreams you had when you were younger. Try to take it back to your pure self, because we live in this world that's complicated. It's full of noise. It's full of people trying to get our attention and make us think things that we don't already think and feel. Being true to your core is so important. We've got to turn off all the others and look to ourselves. And it's there.
You got it. And what I do in Best Self is we create who your best self is. Like mine's a wizard who's 1,000 years old.
Okay,
named Merlin. So when I walk into a room,
awesome.
he's on my arm. Oh, no, I can't wear off the sleeve. It wraps around my whole shoulder with a staff.
That's so cool.
I like magical things, So it taps me into the wizard or whatever. But we all have a best self, which is the part our parents give us a name that at a core, people say, their spiritual animal or whatever. Mine's a wizard.
Is it wrong that mine is a Disney villain?
No, that's about right. That's perfect
fine.
for you.
Okay.
But you create your best self, and you create the attribute. It's kind of fun, and kids can do it, adults can do it. And then your anti-self is that part of you that's getting in the way of being your best self. And we all have different times in our life when what's called our anti-self comes out. And I did this exercise with Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz and Joe Jonas, Sophie Turner, creating their best self and their anti-self. And it's a really simple, easy way. And if you can add a little bit of humor to it, I find with your ego, it just makes things release a little better.
Well, my best and worst self are the same person. Barbra Streisand. It's both. Well, look, I just initially thumbing through the book, learned a lot. I can't imagine how much I'm going to learn when I can actually listen to the whole Best Self, Be You Only Better book, or just read it. I actually enjoy reading too. Life coach Mike, Coach Mike Baer, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Elvis. I appreciate you guys.
And I'm telling you, it's unusual that you can find a book that actually just thumbing through, you learn something. It makes me want to go back and read every single page. It's called Best Self, Be You Only Better. From our New York Times bestseller. What's that feel like?
You're going to find out next week.
I don't know. They got a weird bunch of rules.
Oh, so many rules.
Yeah, New York. No one really knows how you become a New York Times bestseller, but you did. Best Self, Be You Only Better from Life Coach Mike Baer. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Elvis. Thank you.